how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Skew. This is from 2011, directed by Seve Schelenz, and stars Rob Scattergood, Amber Lewis, and Richard Olak. And overall, this is an interesting enough little found footage film, but definitely a B-side and one that didn't play out 100% perfectly, and I wish it was a little better. Overall, though, it does have some pretty good pros. First of all, it's about a camera that can predict the future, you know, kind of see someone who's about to die. That's a cool idea. I mean, cameras that predict the future are typically, you know, photo cameras like Twilight Zone's Most Unusual Camera or Goosebumps' Say Cheese and Die, but it's a clever idea to combine that with a found footage movie, and it's something that is interesting enough. Plus, you're surrounded by all these deaths. Is the camera causing it? Am I causing it? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. And of course, the cinematography in this one, I know how people who are big found footage nerds like realistic cinematography, and this does feel realistic. A 4:3 aspect ratio, nice soft colors like it was actually shot on cassette, which it might have been, but it really does feel real. They'll set down the camera and it'll be pointing at just something random while the characters talk, or maybe someone's gonna stand just a little too far out of frame and kind of mess up the video. It's bad cinematography, but that's the point. It's supposed to look real world and it's supposed to look amateurish, and they really succeeded there. But you see how that kind of leans into one of the film's big problems. It looks real world, but at the same time, not super big, cinematic, and interesting. And I think there is a scale, because later found footage getting way too Hollywoodified, that's something. That's too far. That's bad in one direction. But this kind of goes too far in the other direction, where large parts of this film get kind of boring. You know, shots drag on a little bit too long, and there's not quite as much passion or enthusiasm behind this. I get we're trying to be real, I just wish it flared a little more, you know? That is one of the things. And also, I think there is a problem with dialogue and scares in this. In regards to the dialogue, they'll tend to hit a few notes, you know, stop recording me, is this supernatural stuff real, and what's the deal with you and your girlfriend? Those three topics get talked about kind of secularly. They get stuck in loops, and the narrative, the plot doesn't ever really seem to progress in regards to that. Hey, give me the camera, stop filming me, over and over again without any real escalation, and it doesn't really go anywhere till the end. And in turn, that combined with long shots, repetitive dialogue and long shots, the movie can kind of drag. And it might have helped it if the scares were better, but sadly the scares are not. You know, like, you keep the movie low-key and real, you need to think of good, subtle scares, but other than just, you know, the general atmosphere, whenever they do a scare or something interesting, it's usually way too big and beyond the film's capacity to get it right, you know? They're looking around a hotel room, all of a sudden a big ghost is just gonna pop out. It almost feels like it's from a completely different movie. It's way too big on the scale and doesn't look particularly great. They needed to do subtler things, creepier and atmospheric stuff. Maybe it's a shadow in the distance and you're not quite sure what it is, but big ghosts popping out, that's too much. And same with whenever they try to do, because it's, you know, deaths, right? It's the camera that predicts death. But when they try to do a big death sequence, like I think there's a car wreck, you know, a car goes off the road, hits some people, they pan away while it's happening and then pan back to the accident. And, you know, there's a gas station that catches on fire, but not when they're there. They just hear about it later. It's stuff that's beyond their capability to do, and they really needed to have more of the deaths actually on camera to make the film more interesting. So yeah, whenever it randomly swings to the fences kind of at certain little points in the movie, it doesn't ever really hit it. And I wish they had thought of stuff they could actually do and stretched it out a little longer, because they're sitting in a car on this road trip, and boy, after a while, you start to really feel every minute of the trip, and I just wish that they had structured out the plot a little bit better. Whatever. It still has realism and it still has an interesting idea, but a little on the boring side, and they really needed to give the script another pass once they realized what they could and couldn't do, you know? As it stands, it's okay, but not a super strong recommendation. If you want to watch it, if you're into that real aesthetic, again, it nails that, except for when it doesn't, but it's an okay movie, but not super great. Let's take a little bit of a look at the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I want to dig down and analyze a little bit, and I don't have to cover the end to do that, although I will allude to it vaguely. But let's go into an analysis section. Anyway, we open up with 3 people about to go on a road trip. Cameraman, that's our point of view, best friend, and best friend's girlfriend. Now, they're going to a wedding, which, granted the overtones of death, you think they would be going to a funeral, but no, it's a wedding. And they don't even really talk about the people getting married. They just are like, oh yeah, we've been looking forward to this trip. I wish that this had been a better part of the plot, but whatever. There is a subplot where the best friend's girlfriend is friends with cameraman's girlfriend, who's not on the trip, and she begins to suspect that something's up. And again, this is one of those plot loops that it's continually, hey, what's up with you and your girlfriend? I don't want to talk about it. And it's just, we get stuck in a loop, and until the end of the movie, we're not going to find out what's really going on. And again, I wish it had scale and reveals, but it's start of movie, stuck in loops, end of movie, and that's going to be most of the dialogue. They're going to hit a deer, and I guess this is what gives the camera magical powers. I don't know, but now it's like infused with death, and they're gonna see blurry faces on people who are about to die. At first it's the hotel clerk, and then, you know, they don't know what it is at first, and then later on they hear something and it turns out he's been shot. Yeah, you know, okay deaths. I wish the death sequences were a little better, but we're gonna meet several people that will get blurry faces, and you start to wonder, wow, this is highly improbable that so many people would die on the trip. And you do get that maybe it's the camera causing this, maybe I'm causing this. And I mean, I would guess, because that's the only thing that makes sense, because boy, it's highly improbable that so many people would die. Maybe if it was more like Final Destination, where you get the sense of paranoia and omens and that these things were predestined to happen, but no, it just feels highly improbable. And we get another one of those loops, is this surely can't be real, you're being superstitious, hey, quit babbling on about that. And you may ask, why doesn't he just show them the tapes? Well, it turns out he rewinds the tapes, and the faces are normal when he looks at them again. And I get that it has to be just his thing, but how? Like, we're seeing the movie. Did the ghost restore the tapes just for us? And also, you can't record yourself on a cassette tape watching the past of the tape without a second device. I mean, there's the playhead, there's 2 reels. When you rewind, the reels go backward past the playhead, and there's not a second playhead inside the reel where you are to record this further. It's not possible on an old cassette tape to film yourself rewinding. That's just not a thing. But whatever, he can't show his friends. They think he's crazy, and they're gonna keep, again, another loop. Put the camera down, over and over. There is some fun, subtle stuff in here, you know, just annoying someone until they snap, and also getting the feelings like, you know, you're my best friend, I guess. You know, how we're on a trip, we're friends, right? But how well do we really know each other? How well do I really trust you? There's a few interesting things in there. And, you know, some of the ghosts are... There's some fun moments. Like, there's a ghost that runs alongside their car, kind of like what you all imagined when you were kids on long road trips. I like that one. But overall, where it goes to in the end, and I won't spoil the ending of the movie, but I will say it's one of those artsy, ambiguous endings, and I'm like... This movie drug on for a little while. I wish we got something more than an ambiguous ending, or at least more fun, mysterious pieces to play with. It just ends and you're like, really, we're gonna end it there? And the thing is, I think I thought about it for a bit, and I think I get where all the pieces go and what they're trying to say. It's still not that interesting, and again, a case of, I wish it was better. Overall, it's got really realistic cinematography. The characters act realistic even though it isn't super passionate. It's just the scares, the pacing, the escalation of the dialogue. It doesn't pan out great, and in turn it gets a little bit boring. Some people, especially if you're fans of this style of cinematography, might get into it, but I can't give it a strong recommendation. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my found footage movies playlist, where you can see me talk about things like Rec, VHS, several found footage movies. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.